Hello everyone, and welcome to the TOMBS TV community. I'm your host, and today we're embarking on a one-of-a-kind journey. Leth, extraordinary graves that defy the ordinary. Each one hides tales of love, mystery, and rebellion. Stories that have captivated the world for decades. Ready to explore these wordless monuments? Let's begin. The Grave of the Entwined Hands. In the 19th century, the Netherlands lived under a system called verzuiling, or pillarization, which divided society into rigid religious groups. Catholics, Protestants, Jews, and socialists coexisted without mixing, separate in schools, public spaces, and even cemeteries. This order, enforced by law and tradition, made interfaith marriages near revolutionary acts. Yet in this landscape of rigidity, a love story defied all conventions. Jacobus Wilhelmus Cornelius van Gorkum, a Protestant colonel, and Johanna Carolina Philippina van Efferden, a Catholic noblewoman, met in the 1830s. Despite family scorn and societal pressure, they married in 1842. For 38 years, their relationship was an act of defiance. They walked hand in hand through the streets of Roermond, a simple gesture that became a quiet rebellion. Jacobus's death in 1880 tested their vow of eternal union. The era's rules demanded he be buried in the Protestant section of the cemetery, separated by a wall from the Catholic side. But Johanna, determined to mock the divisions they'd challenged in life, refused burial in her family's mausoleum. She insisted on being laid as close as possible to her husband, on the other side of that symbolic wall. The result? One of the world's most poetic graves. 2 white stone tombstones, each on opposite sides of the wall. From them emerge sculpted hands that stretch, meet, and clasp in an eternal grip. Designed in 1888, 8 years after Johanna's death, this monument didn't just honor their love. It became a symbol of resistance against religious segregation. Today, after a 2015 restoration, the entwined hands still move visitors from across the globe. Couples leave flowers and letters here, reinterpreting its message for modern struggles against discrimination. More than a grave, it's a stone-carved reminder. Love can tear down walls, whether of brick, prejudice, or indifference. Monument to Matthew Stanford Robinson. This moving monument was born from the unwavering love of parents for their son. A bronze statue depicts a young boy rising above his disability, being lifted toward the sky. His face gazes upward, and his arm stretches toward the clouds, as if reaching for the freedom he never had in life. The sculpture pays tribute to Matthew Stanford Robinson, a boy who lived with cerebral palsy and spent his entire life in a wheelchair. After his passing in 1999, his parents sought to create a symbol that would remind them that, at last, Matthew was free from earthly limitations. It was then that Matthew's father contacted his cousin, a sculptor, to bring their vision to life, a figure that would encapsulate both sorrow and hope. Over the years, this statue has touched millions. Its images have gone viral on social media repeatedly, carrying Matthew's story to unexpected corners of the world. The attention it garnered allowed the Robinson family to turn their grief into action. They founded the Ability Found Foundation, a non-profit organization. This initiative provides free or low-cost wheelchairs, along with other mobility equipment, to those in greatest need. To fund their work, they accept donations and sell miniature replicas of the iconic cemetery statue. Today, what began as a private tribute has become a beacon of solidarity. The statue not only represents Matthew's spiritual flight, but also the transformative power of parental love, a legacy that turns mourning into tangible help for others. The Mysterious Bean Monument. For over a century, visitors to the cemetery were intrigued by the strange gravestone of Henrietta and Susanna Bean. The tomb featured an enigmatic crossword-like code that no one could decipher. Many attempted to make rubbings of the engraving to solve the mystery, but all failed. It was known that in 1867, Dr. Samuel Bean had secretly placed this headstone for his two wives, who had died within a short time of each other. The doctor buried both women together beneath this mysterious monument. Tragically, before he could reveal the meaning of the code, Dr. Bean drowned after falling from a sailboat. The riddle remained unsolved until the 1970s, when a 94-year-old woman in a nearby nursing home finally cracked it. We will never know why Dr. Bean chose this peculiar method to honor his wives, but at least we now know the hidden meaning in the stone. If you want to try solving the puzzle yourself, pause the video. The solution is, starting at the 7th character of the 7th row and reading in a spiral, the message says, "In memory of Henrietta, first wife of Dr. S. Bean, who died September 27, 1865, aged 23 years, 2 months, and 17 days, and of Susanna, his second wife, who died April 27, 1867, aged 26 years, 10 months, and 15 days. No man ever had two better wives. They were gifts from God now in heaven. May God help me, S. of E, to join them." The Jane, my wife, tomb. The historic Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn houses many impressive monuments, but one of the most moving is the grave of Jane Griffith. The engraving shows a woman standing at the entrance of a reddish stone house. A man gazes at her from the sidewalk in an emotionally charged scene. The woman is Jane, and the man is her husband, Charles Griffith. This image represents the last moment they shared as a couple. That morning, Charles had bid farewell to Jane at their doorstep before leaving for work. Upon returning, he discovered Jane had suddenly passed away from cardiac arrest. Charles's grief was so profound that he commissioned a renowned sculptor to recreate that moment. He wanted to immortalize in 3 dimensions their final goodbye atop his beloved wife's grave. It said Charles visited Jane's tomb regularly for 25 years, until he was finally able to reunite with her in death. Afterglow Vista. Afterglow Vista looks more like a Roman temple hidden in the woods than a traditional mausoleum. At the end of a winding stone path through the trees stands this stunning funerary structure. The open-air rotunda features 6 massive columns connected by an intricately carved ring. It seems lifted straight from another era. At its center sits a large limestone table surrounded by stone chairs. Built in 1936, Afterglow Vista, also called the Macmillan Mausoleum, holds the remains of industrialist John S. Macmillan and his family. Macmillan owned the West Coast's largest lime production company, which funded this imposing family monument. Every detail of Afterglow Vista carries carefully planned symbolism. According to a plaque on site, the structure is approached by 2 staircases representing the degrees of Masonic order. The eastern stairs symbolize man's spiritual life. The winding path represents life's uncertain future. The steps were built in groups of 3, 5, and 7. 3 for life's stages: youth, maturity, old age. 4 architectural orders and human senses. 7 for liberal arts: grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, astronomy. The columns replicate those from King Solomon's temple. The broken column symbolizes an interrupted life. The central round table with 6 chairs represents family reunion after death. The chair bases are urns holding ashes. The table signifies their eternal gathering. The Scrabble Fanatic's tomb. When Paul G. Lind, programmer and passionate Scrabble enthusiast, passed away at 31, his loved ones wanted to honor his life in a special way. They created a unique headstone with mosaic tiles resembling a Scrabble board. Each chosen word describes aspects of his personality and legacy. According to various sources, creating this headstone was a collective effort. Family members, friends, and his fiancée all participated. Over the years, vandals damaged the monument and stole several tiles, but the community came together to restore it. They organized a Scrabble tournament to raise funds. In 2018, they replaced the missing tiles with bronze letters. Today, this headstone remains one of the most original monuments of the 21st century, a perfect tribute for a word lover. The tomb with stairs. Being a parent in the 19th century required immense courage. Nearly half of all children never reached puberty, leaving behind devastated parents. This pain transcended cultures and social classes, as shown by President Lincoln and his wife Mary Todd's story. For every known tragedy, there are thousands that were never told. Though painful to remember these losses, they make us appreciate our era with lower childhood mortality. One such enduring story is that of Ellen Ford. When her daughter, Florence Irene Ford, died at age 10 from yellow fever, Ellen designed a unique memorial. Florence had feared thunderstorms, and her mother would comfort her until they passed. To keep comforting her, Ellen built a special tomb with a window and stairs leading down to the coffin. Iron gates protected the access. This way she could descend during storms. Today the tomb remains largely unchanged, though a concrete wall was added to prevent vandalism. The stairs still stand as testimony to a mother's eternal love. The Eerie tomb of Fernand Abelot. The statue on Fernand Abelot's grave shows a man lying down while holding a decapitated head. Not exactly the image we'd associate with romance. You're not alone in thinking this. This tomb frequently appears on lists of the world's creepiest graves. Located in the famous Père Lachaise cemetery, one of the most important in the world, the tomb stands out among its illustrious neighbors. The curious thing is that very little is known about Abelot's life, but his tomb reflects his final wish, to be depicted contemplating his wife's face for all eternity. We can't help but wonder if he would have preferred to have the rest of her body too. The epitaph on the tombstone reads, "They marveled at the beauty of the journey that led them to the end of their lives." The Marchant ball that never stops rolling. One can't help but wonder if Bob Dylan visited Marion, Ohio, before writing his famous song, Like a Rolling Stone, because this might be the only place in the world where you'll find a 5,000-pound granite ball that's been slowly rolling for over 100 years. This mysterious sphere sits atop Charles Marchant's funeral monument at Marion Cemetery. Though you can't see it move with your naked eye, its secret is revealed by the worn track beneath it, showing where it previously rested. It's estimated to move about 2 inches each year. Many have invented theories about its movement. Some say it's ghosts. Others believe it's aliens. But the most likely explanation is much simpler. Rainwater collects beneath the ball, freezes during cold weather, and as it melts, causes the sphere to gradually turn. A fascinating natural phenomenon that's kept visitors amazed for more than a century. The tomb inside a giant rock. This story begins with William Jeffries, a young state senator from North Carolina. On his deathbed, he experienced terrifying fever visions. He was horrified by the thought of worms devouring his body after death, so he begged his father to bury him in a very special way, inside a giant boulder. When he passed away, his father kept his promise. He hired a family friend who was a stonemason to make this unique wish come true. The mason knew the Jeffries land well and found the perfect rock for the purpose, a massive 10-foot-tall stone at the edge of their property. For over a year, the mason worked patiently. He hollowed out the rock's interior, created a space for the coffin, installed a marble slab with an inscription. Today, this unusual tomb still stands, hidden within the solid boulder, fulfilling the final wish of a man who wanted to rest far from worms and earth. A funeral monument as unique as the story that inspired it. The mysterious XYZ grave. Among all the tombs on this list, the XYZ grave stands out not for its design, but for the mystery surrounding it. The story begins with a bank robber who died during a heist in Deep River. With no identification, the townspeople buried him near the railroad tracks. Soon after, an anonymous letter arrived, requesting the grave be marked with the letters XYZ. And so they did. Over the years, a local legend emerged. Each year, a woman in black would arrive by train, visit the grave in complete silence and leave either a single rose or a wreath. She never spoke to anyone, simply performed her ritual and departed as quietly as she came. Many claim to have seen her ghost, and there are even YouTube videos of nighttime visitors to the site, searching for supernatural encounters. The grave is often covered in coins, as local belief holds that leaving one will protect you from a curse. Ironic that a bank robber's grave ends up covered in money, isn't it? We don't know if the curse is real or if the woman in black ever existed, but the mystery lives on, as does the legend. Which story shocked you most? Let us know in the comments. For more journeys into the unknown, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next mystery. Until next time,